How do you do? It is I, Lord Penton III, and I welcome you to another episode of the Warhammer Times, where I look at the new releases from Warhammer, and especially the models, the items, and just look at general news and events and give my opinions on them. And for the models and the releases, I'll be relating them between good, okay, to bad, and also the intermediates between those three choices, and just give my general opinions about them, really. Anyway, for this episode, it is one of my favorite armies, which is the Skaven, and my goodness me, the Skaven release has been absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. A lot of them are really good, some are okay, and there's nothing really in terms of miniatures that is bad, but there is one release I want to talk about which I feel like is another bigger problem in general, and not just with Warhammer. I think it is a problem with items from other companies, and this is of course the dice, which I will get on to later on. Anyway, let's get on with it. So starting off with the good category of the new Skaven releases, I want to talk about my favorite model that has been released for the Skaven army, which is the Brute. So it's what looks like to be a rat ogre with a lot of mechanical parts kind of grafted into its skin. So the skin is actually growing around, so it's embedded into the flesh of the rat ogre. And it's also got another rat that is sewn onto it, which is very classical of the Skaven. So the Brute itself, let's just to list off some of the great features of it. I want to start off with the main head. The main head itself is absolutely stunning, and it's one of the most unique Skaven heads that I've seen of any miniature. So it is a rat. So first of all, it looks like a regular rat skull. Well, not really, because a lot of the other Skaven skulls themselves, the heads, look really uniform. This one has a lot more dimensions. It doesn't look uniform like how the other rats sewn onto it head looks. It's got a giant horn protruding out of its head, so that's something. And it's also got these giant incisors that look a lot more like tusks coming out of its mouth. And it's got a beard, which the hair texture is. Well, there's one complaint I want to make, is that the hair texture for the Skaven in general just ain't there exactly. But besides that, looks phenomenal. It's got really nice eyes. The ear, I don't know if that's the ear, but whatever it is, looks really deformed, which is perfect. You also got a vein coming out of the head that kind of runs down all the way to its mouth, the top of its jaw. And yeah, it looks fantastic. The skin of all the skin itself is both really contains a lot of musculature, but also it is textured, like it is again deformed, like it's something that has not really been natural. It's got some giant feet, so it's got another rat next to it, which has got some really deformed skin, and it's got an arm with what looks that has a gauntlet with giant shears attached to it, and it's also got some kind of war pick coming out of that arm itself, and underneath it is some kind of flesh scythe. Maybe it's a bone, maybe it's metal, who knows? It's got a warpstone embedded into it, and it is not for the faint of heart. This miniature it's got a lot of body horror going on, which again I think for Skaven that is fantastic. It's got a lot of mechanized parts, a lot of machines grafted into the skin, and actually the skin is devoured these machines and it's embedded in there. And they I believe maybe they have some warpstone in there. I'm not entirely sure. It's got a warpstone cannon attached to its arm, its left arm, and a gauntlet with some kind of flail attached to it. So that's really cool. And also it's got like some kind of pipe attached to another machine that's shown to be ramshackled. So because it's Skaven, it's not exactly high quality engineering involved in that one, but yeah, it's just everything looks to be just hastily put together, which is fantastic for the Skaven. It's just a lovely miniature. At £44, it's pretty pricey, but it's a big miniature. I think it's very much cut from the same cloth as the Hellpelt Abomination. So if you're looking for a, perhaps a centerpiece for your army alongside the Hellpelt Abomination, this is right up your alley. No-brainer. Just go for it. So the next group of miniatures I want to talk about, which I think are fantastic, are the Rat Ogres. So you get 3 of them for £37. It's pretty decent as they are quite big miniatures. I think they could have gone on away with at least, I don't know, £20. But anyway, moving on from that, basically big humanoid rats with a lot of musculature. One of them has a a warpstone basically embedded in his flesh. Each of them has boils and stuff. They got giant hands and giant rat feet. Each one is very different to each other, which I think is another really good benefit. Stops them from feeling boring and samey. Gives them a lot more personality, in my opinion. So one of the ones has a face mask, completely like, sort of Man in the Iron Mouse kind of face covering, which really nice. One of the rats has one set of incisors going down and one set of incisors going up. It's also got half his head encased in steel. That's kind of grafted onto his skin. So that's really cool. All of them seem to have a lot of sort of metallic components, a lot of weapons attached or embedded into them. A lot of machines as well, embedded, grafted into their skin as well as just sometimes attached. They look like they've been seriously amputated, sewn up, which again just gives them so much more personality. I feel like this is kind of what, if you're paying for £37 or even that, so much detail you kind of need on a miniature. I think they're great. I think they're absolutely perfect. Although I would say I wish they did rat ogres with sort of the attachments and perhaps just regular rat ogres that are just giant rats. They're just monstrous rats. I think that would have been a really good idea for people who want, like in the old set where you had just the regular rat ogres with no that were just hulking rats, not just the ones with machines attached to them. But I think overall these ones are really good, really nice. So yeah, that's it. So the next one I want to talk about is Thanquol on Boneripper, and so basically you got a little rat, one of the rats with horn that has, I don't know, warpstone horns on them, made to look like the Great Horn Rat, I think. Maybe. I'm not entirely sure. But he's essentially riding on, I'm guessing, on a Boneripper, which to me looks a lot like the Storm Fiends. It's basically a giant four-armed rat with a lot of cannons and weapons attached to it. It's got a lot of mechanical and parts to it. Unlike them, though, it's not heavily armored. There's only one piece of a plating on it on his left shoulder. You can see a lot more of his musculature, his kind of grotesque physique. He's very much a hulking boy. He's got a lot of mechanical parts, a lot of gizmos and gadgets attached to him. The little rat, he has got this staff with, I think that's the Skaven sigil, which is really nice. He's basically similar to the Hellpelt Abomination and Brute. He is again sewn together parts of him. I feel like either are reattached or attached to him. Also got some some rat nipples, so he's very detailed, which is good. Though again, I feel like they should have perhaps made him a little bit more different to the Storm Fiends. But overall, it's a gorgeous miniature. On looks alone, I feel like it's different enough and gorgeous enough to warrant its its own status. And I wouldn't really call. You can argue whether it should, because it looks like it looks a bit too much similar to the Storm Feed, that it should be perhaps in the intermediate between good and okay. But I'm gonna put it personally on good. I absolutely love how it looks. And although not perfect, it does seem to have better hair texture to the other rats, just a little bit. Maybe it's just me, but it's good to see. Maybe it's just the paint job. I think whoever painted these did a really great job with it. So one of the other ones I wanted to talk about was this Spearhead Skaven box set. So in the box set, you get 1 Greyseer, 20 Clanrats, 3 Storm Fiends, and 1 Warp Lightning Cannon. And visually, you look like you definitely get more of your money's worth. Debatable, but I feel like compared to some of the other box sets, this one definitely looks like they did a really good job with the selection. You get 3 Storm Fiends, which look absolutely great. And maybe it's just the paint job, but they look. I really like the Storm Fiends in general. The Warp Lightning Cannon looks absolutely phenomenal. Big one, not one of the small ones. 20 Clanrats. You can't really go wrong with them as kind of like your main battle units. And 1 Greyseer, I think. It just looks a little bit goofy in my opinion, but I don't know. It's quite charming. Whoever did the Storm Fiends, I don't think they did the Warpstone or the Greyseer, because he looks like he's holding a watermelon, and also another rat on top of it. It looks like a regular rat holding another one, which looks like a D20 dice. I think it's a combination of perhaps the miniature needing a little bit more work, or just the paint job again. But yeah. I'm going to call this Rat Lord with Watermelon. I think that would be fantastic. So yeah, overall I think it's a brilliant miniature box set, visually anyway. I don't know about the stats, and again we're not really concentrating on the stats, but just visually compared to some of the other box sets, I feel like this one's definitely a win, a good one. You definitely seem like you're getting your money's worth as well, at least for painting wise. Again, don't quote me on stat stuff, but yeah, it looks pretty decent. So the last one I wanted to talk about, the last miniature I want to talk about, is the most expensive one, even more expensive than the box set, which it's a gorgeous model. I just couldn't help myself. I think this one is definitely the most expensive rat miniature that I've seen so far. It is Vizzik's Skour, Prophet of the Great Horn Rat, which is £95. And the model itself, oh my goodness me, it's absolutely fantastic. The incisors are the biggest ones I think I've seen on any rat miniature. Don't quote me again, but there's so much detail. Even the, oh my goodness me, I think they fixed the hair. I think they have. Oh, they've given it actually good. Okay, whoever designed this miniature, thumbs up. Honestly, it's fantastic, especially with the cloak with all the engravings on them. Whoever did the paint job as well did an absolutely phenomenal job. I'm not surprised for £95 that they would go premature allowed for this one. Compared to the ones like the Vermin Lord Warpseer or the Lord Screech Vermin King, that are also quite expensive. This one, I don't think there's any space left on it that's not that is just plain. There's no plain parts on it, which at least from what the pictures show, which is absolutely great. I really don't like it when there's plain textures, because especially when you're painting and you want it to look visually appealing, You want there to be a lot of things going on, and this one delivers it. I wouldn't call it the best one, because maybe it's a little bit too much compared to some the Brute Terror, in my opinion. But honestly, this job, fantastic. You did so well. It's a bit pricey, but in my opinion, for the price and compared to other kind of miniatures in the price range that aren't as detailed, aren't as visually stunning. So starting off with the intermediate miniatures, in my opinion, the first one I want to talk about is the Master Moulder. It is a disgustingly gorgeous miniature. There's a lot of corruption going on in his body. It's definitely very much deformed. He's got boils and looks maybe another rat growing out of it, or coming out of it, or just riding along. Attached to it, it's got a giant staff that has a warpstone attached to it, so I think it might be definitely doing something to the its victims, which is all nice. It's got a lot of attachments to it. It's not really cybernetically enhanced like some of the other ones. It's got a rat sitting on top of it. That's got like spikes coming out of it, so definitely some kind of mutated rat coming out of it. On the back, it seems like it has some more gadgets and gizmos. It definitely needs to go to his orthodontist to fix his teeth, but I think again that gives him a lot more character. I think the tail could have done a little bit more, in my opinion. In terms of why I don't think this is in the good category, why it's in the intermediate, it seems like a pretty small miniature with what that I feel like could have definitely been improved, especially if you're paying £21.50. I think maybe if it was perhaps at a good £15, or even if they were like perhaps in a pack of 2. I think it's overall it's definitely a nice looking miniature, but I feel like for the price and for what it is, they could have definitely done a lot more with the concept. The second good intermediate miniatures I want to talk about are the new Clanrats. You get 20 of them for £31.50, which is a really good price for how many models you get. Each one is really detailed. I think in terms of infantry units, they are definitely above what you might see in a regular army. Each one has different weapons, different loadouts, different armor, and each one definitely has its own unique characteristic. One just has I think, bird skull attached on top of his head. Each of the shields has a unique pattern, unique style, which definitely, again, gives them their own distinctive character. I think maybe if there was, they just had a little bit more unique features about them, I think they could have just been in the good category. I think they're really good for what they are in terms of just this infantry, but because they're infantry, and because I feel like they can definitely have done a lot better. Maybe maybe some Skaven slaves attached to them. I think it could have done. I think it could have easily gone to the good category. The last intermediate between good and okay I want to talk about is the Acolyte Galvaneers. They are basically Skaven rats with a lot of machinery, a lot of cybernetics, and I believe they're throwing some warpstone grenades or so. They are absolutely gorgeous. The face masks, look like gas masks, World War I gas masks. With a lot more mechanically enhanced bits and pieces here and there. Again, going for that ramshackled kind of look. All the machinery just looks like it's attached with a bunch of rivets and also ropes. So I don't know how safe that's going to be, but it's Skaven, so expendable and all that. Each of them has their own unique characteristics. There you go, I think, but even though they got their own unique characteristics, I think a lot of them look a little bit samey, a bit too samey. It's not like the difference between like the Clanrats or the Stormvermin are, or actually not the Stormvermin, the Rat Ogors are. I feel like they could have definitely made them a lot more interesting and better. And five units for £34 is a big price considering the size of the units and what they're coming with. I think definitely could have had a lot more work done on them. But they are, again, really nice miniatures. I just feel like there's definitely a lot of improvements that could be made to the miniatures themselves. So starting off with the OK category, the first one I want to talk about is the Clawlord on Gnaw-beast. Now, maybe I'm treating it a little bit too harshly because it is quite nice, especially the Gnaw-beast is really nice. The texture, it looks like its face is basically melting, maybe just due to some mutation or maybe effect from whatever the warpstone is doing to it. I think the Gnaw-beast itself looks really well. I think it could use a little bit more improvements. The Gnaw-beast looks like it should be the star of the kind of things, but that's only because the face itself is so grotesque. There's a warpstone coming out of its back, and then the Clawlord itself looks pretty decent. The weapon, its warpstone spear, looks really well made. It looks so nice, and the backs with the whatever kind of spiked protrusions coming out of its back with the skulls on it looks really nice. But overall, it looks like it's missing a lot of details and textures in order to get it to even the intermediate stage. It looks a little bit half-baked, in my opinion. It's £40. I would say, I think it's a bit expensive for £40, personally. I think, in general, if I was going to pay for it, I would pay somewhere around £25. Maybe it's a bit bigger than it looks. Whoever did the painting did a decent job, I think. That, again, especially like with the spear, I think they could have focused a lot more attention on the spear. The flesh maybe could have done a little bit more work. I think it's a decent paint job, but nowhere near some of the better ones. The second in the OK category I want to talk about are the Doom-Flayers. They look decent. Again, sort of those kind of weird wheels that look a little bit like one of those the dome tanks. Overall, it's nice. It's a bit pricey at £37 for two miniatures that don't look all that big. Compared to something like the Doom wheel that looks like it's twice the size of these ones and is a lot cheaper. I like the little details of some of the runes carved into the wheels themselves. They got some, I'm guessing, is the flare part of the Doom-Flayers, the swords, or I don't know, whatever they are coming out of it. The Ratmen themselves look decent, nothing special. I do like the ones with the goggles on. They're also holding some swords, and they're like sort of one of those chariot scythes coming out of the wheel, or the flayers themselves. Looks quite decent, but overall, I think it's missing and lacking in A, lot of textures, and B, sort of the size of the miniature, and I don't feel like it's really worth £37. The next miniatures I want to talk about in the OK category are the Warpspark weapon battery. They are, I would say quite nice. £31.50 for 3 models. It's a little bit on the pricey side for the size of the miniatures. I really like the weapons, the battery weapons. I also like the little rats, the slave rats that are kind of aiding the main gun turrets, like the one of the ones that just looks like a rat on all fours. That's really being affected by I think the warp stones. They have the gadgets on their backs, which I'm guessing is something to help out with carrying the warp stones. I'm assuming. Don't quote me on that. They're definitely the better one of the miniatures, but also the weapons themselves. They're all different. They all look different. They have different aspects to them that set them apart, give them a little more characteristics. I think these ones are decent miniatures, but overall, I think they could have done a lot more. They could have perhaps made the battery packs a little bit bigger and a lot more detailed, and also perhaps something to mount them on. I think could have gone a long way. Personally, I think they should have made these a lot cheaper, or again, just made them a bit bigger and with a lot more textures going on. So the next one I want to talk about is the Warlock Galvaneer. It is a singular model for £21.50. It's quite pricey for the size of the model and just the average detail you're getting with it. There's not really much to go on. It's got sort of like this knight kind of gear on it on the front end, the top of the front end near the head and the shoulders, and it's got this really cool weapon. I'm guessing that's the Galvaneer. And you also got this cool machine on the back that's, I'm guessing, channeling the warpstone energy. It looks really nice, but it's quite bare for it, which I feel like is why it's kind of in the okay category. I think they could have done a lot more with this. Overall, there's not really much to say. I mean, I do like the sort of the knight kind of look on the top front end, but besides that, again, not really much going on. I think for £21.50, it's quite pricey. Next one is the Arch-Warlock. You're getting a little bit more with this one, but I don't know, it just doesn't look as cool for some reason. I think because of the weapons it got, it's kind of missing a little bit of that coolness factor. The more of the headgear, it looks a lot better. I think the sort of the armored bits are a lot better, a lot nicer on this one. But again, this one's a little bit more expensive at £24, and the machines are really cool. I feel like the weapons and the overall detail you're getting on this is a bit bare. Whoever did the paint job did a really good job on this one. I think it did. But overall, yeah, it's just much more of the same. Needs a lot more for the price. It's a bit bare. Second to last is the Warp Grinder. It is just basically two miniatures, already one miniature, two rats, two Skaven miniatures that are basically using this large warp machine. I'm guessing it's some kind of cannon. Overall, it's not really much is going with the two rats, the two Skaven miniature for £28. It's alright, I would say. I thought they would have made it a little bit more expensive, but thankfully they didn't. But it's still a bit pricey for what's going on there. The bit large machine, I mean, again, it's quite bare. I feel like there's not really much going on with the machine there. It's hooked up to some kind of other machine that I'm guessing has some of the energy source. Overall, not much going on with the whole entire machine. I do like some of the little details on it though, such as the how it's kind of looked like it came off some kind of drill. Definitely looks like it's cobbled together. A lot of wood, a lot of pieces that look like they're kind of just placed on, which is very Skaven-like. A lot of bandages, a lot of wrappings. I think, yeah, overall it's quite nice, but extremely bare. And for £20, you would expect a lot more. So the last one in the OK category that I want to talk about is the Stormvermin. You get about 10 miniatures. One of them has a flag, one of them I believe is a commander. And compared to the Clanrats, this is just a bit depressing. I mean, there's not much going on. I feel like with the Clanrats, you got a lot more versatility. There's a lot more characterization. You get a better feel for them. This one is cookie cutter compared to the Clanrats. Overall, they're not bad, but then they're just alright. But I feel like at the lower end, where this needs a lot of improvements before it's anywhere near the Clanrats kind of scale. For £34, you get it's again pricey side, considering the fact that for 20 Clanrats, you got them at £31, and there's so much better. There's so much more going on with them. This one, it's a disappointment. It's a letdown. I can't really put it into the bad category, as I don't really feel like they're bad, but they are definitely, I feel like, the lowest of the okay category. So starting off with the intermediate between okay and bad, I want to talk about the first one, which is the Plaguepack. What you're paying for is basically £26 for 6 miniatures, 5 of the rats from Clan Pestilence, and one looks like one smallish rat with holding a warpstone. And this is very bare. Not a whole lot going on here. You got some cool weapons that have sort of plague clouds coming out of them. These are very much quite disappointing. I mean, the old plague monks, were okay. Well, I would say a lot better than this, and it's just disappointing, especially for what you're getting. I really like anything to do with plague because I'm Nurgle. I would have expected a lot more from this. For £26, it's quite a hefty price to pay for these 6 miniatures. And the last of the Skaven models that I want to talk about is the Warplock Jezzails. Basically, Skaven sniper rifles with some shields. Shields look quite okay, nothing special, and they look all similar. The Skaven themselves, samey, not really detailed. Very few things going on, and you're paying £31.50 for 3 miniatures that just look bare and plain. Maybe it's just the paint job, but it doesn't look all that interesting. It sounds very boring, but it doesn't look bad. I think it looks okay, but compared to everything else that you're getting with the Skaven, there's definitely a letdown, but I can't really put it into the bad category. Overall, I don't think there's anything bad about any of the Skaven miniatures, but compare the last two to the other options that you're getting, and it definitely is not up there with quality and price and the size of miniatures. It's just all going wrong. Maybe I should have put it in the bad category, but I don't think I can put it onto the bad category. So, yeah. So the last Skaven release that's not a model, but just the general release itself that I want to talk about, that it's in the bad category, is the Skaven Dice Set. And £19, you get green dice that, for I'm guessing the 6th numeral, is replaced with Skaven insignia. Oh my goodness me! This even for Warhammer dice sets, it's bad. It's lazy. There's nothing special going on about them. I feel like for every dice set in Warhammer, it's just boring. Like for instance, it's not just even Warhammer that's going. Any time I try to find interesting dice sets online from any seller, it's the same thing. You get the same kind of similar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of the spots, and the 6 is usually replaced with some kind of insignia or some kind of marking. But that's lazy. That's just so boring. And I think for me, what's kind of What I mean by, like, there's no interesting thing, and what I mean by something, a dice that's interesting, was for the 8th edition, the Death Guard dice was something that I feel like was interesting, something new, and more dice should do that. I mean, it was literally a bunch of plague poxes replaced with the regular dots for 1, 2, 3, the whole lot. And this is what I mean. We need something a bit more innovative. If we're going to pay a premium for these kinds of dice, then we need something more interesting. But it is just so boring. I don't think there's any point of getting any interesting dice from any seller, because it's nothing they can't get for a couple pounds, and they're basically the same kind of quality. So again, I think like any of these dice, I would just skip in general until they come up with something interesting, something that's actually worthy of calling it a special edition dice, besides switching off the 6th numeral with some kind of marking or engraving, because that's just lazy. So moving on to the next category that I want to talk about, which is Warhammer Plus itself. It's a subscription service that you pay basically either £5.99 per month or £50 per year, and you get some unique models every so often, access to the Warhammer TV, and also the Vault, where you can watch the old codexes and old kind of literature from Warhammer itself. And you also get access to the Warhammer app, which allows you to kind of customize and build your own army using the features in it. So overall, it's not great. And I was actually a subscriber for a while. I really liked watching the Warhammer subscription service, but the quality of shows are hit and miss. They come out very infrequently. The most recent one is the Tides, which I don't know yet. I might subscribe maybe for like a month and check it out. But overall, there's nothing really special. That killer video, killer show or killer part of the Warhammer TV that is kind of wants people to draw near. I personally think the Iron Within is the best of the animation. I really like the animation part. The lore I have not really checked out too much. I might also subscribe for that later on. But overall, don't think I'm gonna get my money's worth from it. The unique miniatures themselves, I mean, boring. They're nothing really special. Very few. I feel like if you're going to go on the route for getting, trying to persuade people to join your subscription service, especially for the models, you'd make a lot more special models, and you're not really getting anything special or unique, I think, in my opinion. Not even a squad. I mean, come on. But yeah, it's just disappointing. The one Vault, there's again no frequent releases, and there's nothing really, in my opinion, that entices people, because everything stops after 2002, and as we know, a lot of people like myself want to at least be able to read some of the really early ones, such as the old 90s ones, or even some of the 80s ones. I mean, having stuff from the 1980s, I mean, that would be absolutely fantastic. I mean, that's basically like reading a large part of history. Even though you still get 2000 is still quite historical, but I think you understand what I mean. There's it's nothing I would really write home about, and nothing really that I think is special, because a lot of people, especially from, let's say, the older generations, they said that a lot of the really old ones were absolutely phenomenal, and they had a lot more stuff in it, and we can also correct that. Another thing I want to talk about besides the subscription service is White Dwarf. I think it's boring. Nothing really interesting is happening with it. I think realistically, in my opinion, it should be discontinued and replaced with something a little bit better. I think, I also think that Games Workshop might it would be beneficial for them to also review other board games that maybe might not be in their collection. I think replacing it with something that was like in the early days where they were just reviewing board games in general, or tabletop war games in general, would be absolutely fantastic. And also, of course, you can also have Warhammer inside it, but let that be one component. Let your game systems be one component, and review other ones, and also give them a rating. I think that would be really interesting. I would really like to read that. Again, I don't think it's going to happen, but I think that would be nice. The YouTube, so YouTube channel itself. I mean, sometimes I read in, I watch in, but I feel like they could move some of the less important stuff from the Warhammer TV and move it on to the regular YouTube channel. I think perhaps make some of the bigger shows, maybe put it onto some other subscription service, because I feel like there's not really any point, and I feel like they're just going to lose out on money on doing that, and because the fan base. I mean, for me, my final straw with the animations was the night episode. I can't even remember it. That's how forgettable it was. It was not great, especially the animation quality. Again, Iron Within, I feel like was quite a high point for Warhammer TV, but maybe Tide might be another better one. But again, nothing really to entice you. So overall, that's what I wanted to cover for today. Next week we'll do much of the same. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more. I also do some rant videos that I like to talk about, and I'm also going to be trying to add some more stuff into it. I feel like this is just general gist of what I want to do. Anyway, see you in the next episode. Bye. Hi everyone, quick update. I managed to actually forget to review one of the models by mistake. This one is, I will put in the OK category, and that is Krittok Foulblade. It's an okay model. I mean, it's got some nice details. I like the spikes coming out of his back with the skulls and the flag on it. It's got a cool weapon, and the two little Skaven, I think they're Skaven slaves that are using the cloak as a hood is really cool. And also, I did not notice this, but there's a really small rat miniature. Overall, I think it's an okay, decent miniature, but nothing really special.